XFC lightweight Scott Hudson. Thank you, Scott, for the time today, man. You're newly signed to a new promotion. How's life treating you right now?
Good man. Just training hard, working hard. We just opened up a new gym, and been busy and looking forward to getting back in there. It's been a strange year, and it's been like I think at the time of the fight it'll be 11 months since my last fight, which is probably the longest layover of my entire career. So I'm looking forward to getting back in there and getting back to work.
No doubt. Now, let's get into how you ended up signing with XFC because it's a unique story, man. Tell me the story.
So I had heard rumblings about what they had going on. Like I didn't, there wasn't like a lot of press towards it, but through the grapevine, I had heard a few things about what was going to happen, and I think that a couple things came up with the promotion at welterweight, and I had kind of said like, yeah, I'd rather do it at lightweight, specifically because you don't know who you're going to fight. Like you don't have any control over the matchmaking at all. It's not like you can be like, I don't want this fight. You're in it. You're in it, right? And there's something actually super appealing about that. So they didn't have a spot at lightweight at the time, and I came across a post that they had on Instagram saying like, which fighter should we sign? So I put that and shared it in my Instagram story and just asked all of my followers to, tag me in the comment section and share and repost whatever you got to do. And it blew up pretty good, and they ended up, coming back to me when there was a spot opening, and that's how I got in. So, the people who support me made enough noise, and they listened, and it was, it worked out. It was worthwhile.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to hear that the demand got you into the promotion.
Hell yeah.
Usually it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah, you got to give the people what they want, man.
Exactly. Perfect, man. That's perfect, man. I want to go back to 2015 though. You had a stretch where you fought in Asia, Full Metal Dojo, US what is it? WSOF Global. And did you recently catch the Fight Circus? If you fought in Full Metal Dojo, I'm pretty sure you know about the Fight Circus.
Yeah, I do. It was nuts, man. I watched it too. I actually didn't watch the whole thing, but I was like on the stream watching, keeping tabs on what was going on. It was anarchy. But if you know those guys, that's like right up their alley.
Definitely.
It's kind of like a party too. You know what I mean? Like when you go to those events, it's nonstop action. I actually really enjoyed fighting for those guys. It was a good experience. They treated us really well, and I could totally see those guys loving every minute of it.
Yeah, talk about being in Asia for that year and just competing out there compared to competing out in Canada.
I wouldn't say competitive wise, it's that much difference. The only difference would be that. Actually, I mean, it's kind of, once you get to a certain level, it's kind of the same no matter where you go. The guys are going to be tough. They're going to be good. I mean, the one thing that was really good was that I had a really good team around me at the time. The cost of living in a place like Thailand is lower than it is in North America. So you can actually support yourself and train full time if you're smart with your money. A lot of people come and go and they can't, really get it going. But to put it in perspective, I flew over there with, I think, like $2,500 in my bank account and ended up staying a year. So you can support yourself as a working fighter if that's what you want to do. And for most people, like going there and training Muay Thai, it's kind of like a rite of passage for fighters. And I think I've been there 4 or 5 times now. And I plan on going back, for travel and for training for the rest of my life, as long as I can. And if you're smart, if you're an up and coming fighter and you're smart with your budget, go there because you're going to get a ton of experience. And that's the most important part. And that was my biggest takeaway from being over there is I got a ton of experience, a lot of international looks with guys that I trained with that were from New Zealand, USA, Europe, Japan, everywhere. Right. So you kind of get a grip of where you were at globally. Like if you have 4 fights or 10 fights, you can train with a guy with the like experience from Australia or China and kind of see how you stack up.
Yeah, a lot of guys go out there. I've been out there a few times too, and I just see so many people from all over the world. And you've probably run into some guys and trained with them, and now they're probably fighting on the international stage.
Oh, totally, for sure, man.
All right, and let's look at your record, man. You've won your last 6 out of 7. You picked up the BTC lightweight title, successfully defended it in your last fight. What has clicked for you the last couple of years?
I definitely started taking my career a lot more seriously. Like there was a couple losses that are on my record in between Asia and sort of the streak I'm on right now, where one of them was a decision loss where it was kind of mind-boggling. Like I owned the fight and I lost the decision. It was almost as if they switched the scar cards or something like that. And then there's a Topology has it as a TKO loss against Andrew Law, but it's actually a disqualification loss because I accidentally kneed him while he was on the ground in a fight that I was winning. So really, we're looking at those two should be wins and just a couple unfortunate events that I had to fight my way out of. But, you know, ever since I started to really dial it in and take my career seriously, things started to change for me. And I really, like, with the exception of the Kyle Prepolek fight, I really haven't been beaten down. I haven't really lost, like, consecutive rounds in a while. Like, it's been a while since other than the Prepolek fight, that I've really, really been tested hard, I think.
What adjustments have you made?
Well, when I first started, like, to be honest with you, I think I had my first pro fight, I think 2 years after I started to train. So when I first turned professionally, even though I had amateur experience, I was really green, right? And I think it took me a little bit longer than I would have liked to work those kinks out. But early on in my career, I made a point of, like, really honing in on the fundamentals, and I think that pays off for me now. Like, I think the deposits I made in fundamental training when I first started to get into the sport are paying off now, because I feel like I'm really well rounded and I'm hard to break down, and it just creates opportunities offensively. And I think I'm a really, really tough fight, and I think I have the tools to find, where your weaknesses are, and I think I have the tools to find them really quickly as well.
You had a lot of momentum, man, or you have a lot of momentum, and then the pandemic hit. You're sidelined for almost a year. Has that been a frustrating time?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like, there's a lot of people who are in a way worse position than me, so you kind of have to put everything in perspective, right? Like, I had an opportunity to fight. I think BTC wanted to have me on a card in February, and I decided to turn it to not do it because I knew that the UFC was knocking on my door, or I was going to try to wait it out, not necessarily for the UFC, but for a bigger fight. So I turned it down, and yeah, now I regret it, but I had no way of knowing what was coming, right? Like, nobody really did. So sure, I regret it, and I'm kicking myself a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, I'm healthy, I'm training, I'm going to get more opportunities. It is what it is. I mean, it was kind of rough at the beginning, but in that time, like during this pandemic, I've bought a house. I've started a new business venture. So things aren't all negative for me, right? And I don't want to be one of those people that, like, kicks and screams when shit doesn't go his way. But all I can do is kind of stay positive and make the best out of my situation. So I'm eager to get back in there and get back to fighting. But it's a shitty situation for everybody. If I've got to wait a couple extra months or a half a year to fight again, I mean, I'm in a pretty good position, I think.
Well, you do have opportunity now, the XFC lightweight championship tournament, not just a regular tournament. You get the title if you win every fight. You're facing D'Juan Owens in the first round. What are your thoughts on him and his style of fighting?
D'Juan, he seems to be really well-rounded. He's fought up in Canada a couple times, so I'm actually familiar with him before I was offered the fight. He's got a ton of experience. Clearly, looking at his record and from people that I know who have seen him or met him, he's down to fight. Like, he'll fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. He's fought all over the world. He's fought really good guys. He's fought not so good guys. He's fought title fights, all this. So there's nothing really that he hasn't been through. He's really well-rounded, but there's not really one part of his game that really, like, is thunderous, that really jumps out. And I think in the spots where he's good, I'm a little bit more polished. Like, I'm really well-rounded too, but I think I'm going to be able to take him out in the gaps. And I think a lot of it's going to come down to, how he reacts to, failed wrestling attempts and losing grappling exchanges and stuff like that. Because I think he's willing to stand and bang with anybody. But I think the fight is going to come down to how he, sort of deals with adversity in this fight.
What has the training situation been like for you in 2020? There must be some, ups and downs, right, with restrictions.
Yeah. So in Canada, gyms got shut down pretty early on. So there was the entire summer where training was tricky. Like we were getting into smaller groups and kind of keeping our circle smaller with some of the pros and getting our work in. But my main gym closed. You know what I mean? So like the place that I've been going to for the past 6 years every single day doesn't exist anymore. And that was really, really hard for me to go through because it's like you're taking like a loss in life. You know what I mean? It's different. You know, I've had a lot of changes, but there's been a couple gyms that have opened their doors, and I actually opened like a private gym so that I could train my clients out of there, and I can train myself. My coaches are there. There's a couple other gyms that have been kind of retrofitted to service the pros, but aren't really open to the public, and that's essentially where we've been working out of. And I've been going to train with one of my coaches out of town named Chris Prickett, and he's been super inviting to have me out there. So I'm making it work. It's less than ideal, but everybody's having to adapt. You know what I mean? And that's the name of the game. You got to adapt. You got to find ways to make it work for yourself.
Fighters, they have their coaches, right? But then you gotta spar, right? So who have you been sparring with?
My main sparring partners for this camp have been Bobby Poulter, Kyron Cameron, Anthony Romero,
Mhm.
Aaron Jeffrey quite a bit.
Okay.
So I'm still getting really good work. I'm really happy with like the people showing up for me and all the training we've been getting.
Yeah. So guys that have fought recently, then.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
did
yeah.
you
They're going.
did you get help them get ready for their fights too?
Yeah,
Okay. So vice versa. All right.
yeah. Like you know what, man? I've been training this entire time too. The
Mm-hmm.
entire pandemic. I always make a point of like, no matter what happens, I always want to get my work in, even if it's like one thing a day. I always want to get my work in. I don't want to take any long. I'm not going to try to take any long gaps off. It kind of mentally it's hard too to rest because you know that like while you're taking time off, there's guys out there that are training that are getting better, and I don't want to fall behind that way.
Anthony Romero, man, like he got screwed, right? Like I don't understand how the UFC didn't sign him.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's very, very good.
Yeah.
And I would be shocked if he didn't go out and get another win and then they just sign him right away. You know
Yeah.
what I
I
mean?
would
I
be.
think that the Contender Series they want the finish more than they want like a dominant like class performance. You know what I mean? And that's just I think they're really trying to pander to casual fans. And I don't I don't think Anthony Romero wants anybody sitting around feeling bad for him. But I think in his next fight he goes out there and tries to get the kill, which he's 100% capable of doing. He's done in the past. So maybe he got screwed, maybe he didn't, but it's not the first time I've seen a fight where I'm like, man, that guy is really good. Yeah, so we were just talking about Anthony Romero and how he kind of got screwed in his last fight, and how I think he's one win away. He'll come back, and that's no problem. The kid is a beast, and he's young, right? Like he has all the skills, and he hasn't even started to scratch the surface yet. So he's a beast, and he's also like a pretty incredible person too. Like when you talk to him and you see the impact he has on his community, because he's from a pretty small town, he's a special guy.
Yeah, completely agree, man. I'm waiting for him to, even if it's not in the UFC, he's gonna go somewhere and kill it. He's a beast. Now, how do you see this fight playing out against Owens?
Yeah, so I think the most likely scenario you're going to see is D'Juan start to get very frustrated that he's not able to generate the offense that he usually does on me. He really likes to, if he's not having success in the striking exchanges or he can't back his opponent up, he wants to put them on the cage. He wants to grind them down. He wants to take them down and keep them there, and that's not going to happen. I think you're going to see him get really frustrated when that doesn't happen, and that's going to create opportunities for me to kind of open up on him a lot. And I think that's the most likely scenario. Obviously, it's a fight. You never know what can happen. I'm looking for the kill, but I think that's what you're going to see early on in the fight is D'Juan get frustrated that it's not going his way, which is only going to lead to bigger holes for me.
What kind of mentality are you taking into the tournament? Are you taking the fight by fight approach, or are you looking at that belt? It's like that's my belt. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, of course. I'm not looking past D'Juan because I think that he's an opponent that deserves respect, and I'm going to give it to him for sure. But there's nobody in this tournament that I can't beat. One of them I've already beaten once. Nobody is going to be there that's going to knock my socks off. I think the promotion, I have an idea about who they really want to push, so maybe have my eyes on him. And like I think that these are the opponents that I'm looking for. These are the opponents that are going to get me to the next level, and line them up.
The exposure of fighting on NBC Sports, is that something that intrigued you from the start?
Absolutely, yeah. Like it's good exposure. That's a big network, and they're giving us good time slots at like prime time spots on Veteran Day on a holiday. So it should be good exposure, and I want that pressure. Like I sometimes when you ask fighters like where do they want to be on the card, and it's like I kind of like being earlier on the card because then I can get it over with and that stuff. I want the spotlight. I want all the pressure. I want to be the main event. I want as many eyeballs on me as I can get because that's when that happens, you're doing something right. I want all the exposure. I want people watching me fight. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to be able to kind of put on a show for lots of people. I've done the amateurs. I fought in front of 200 people, and I'll take this any day of the week.
If you could give a message to all the other participants in the tournament, what is that message?
Hope you don't draw me because you're gonna lose. I'm coming for you. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. And one of them I've already beat. So come on.
All right, man. November 11th, XFC 43, Atlanta, Georgia. Scott, man, appreciate the time. Good luck. All the best, man. And yeah, we'll be speaking again soon. Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.